Okay, so we got a couple of hours rest and we're away picking up again. Today shouldn't be as bad. It shouldn't be an unholy hour when we're finished. Hopefully all going according to plan. That's making good progress everywhere we go. So hopefully that'll be the case, but it's just handy to get away early some mornings and make progress, because what time you don't make in the morning, you lose in the evening anyway. So these also must be drawn. He's on his way up there with the Volvo, because the gate out of this field is quite a ramp out of it, and I think the double bale handlers will be getting stuck, but there won't be that many here anyway, maybe 30 bales that way, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so here we have her. First look at it. It's a CVX 195, or sorry, a 175, and it seems in very, very good order. Looked at a couple of them. Well, looked at two, yeah. This and an original closed one, Steyr model, but it was just a bit too rough for this time of the year, because I would have absolutely loved one of them. But if it was the winter time, probably would have taken a chance on it, because we would have been able to fix it up over the winter, do jobs to it. One of its biggest turn-offs for me was it had thrown overheating error codes, and when I checked the coolant level, there wasn't any coolant in it, so maybe it got hot, or maybe there was head gasket issues or something like that. So it was just a bit much to chance this time of the year. Like I say, if it was late in the year, probably would have given it a go, and it would have been able to do it up, because it was just a serious looking tractor. But very happy with this one. Like I say, everything is going well. Funnily enough, our one of the first, nearly half of the week, I think. One of our first days out, or third day out with it, I'd say, it started leaking diesel quite badly. So it just cut it was the rubber pipe off of the tank going onto the filter head, you know, your pump, and it was leaking quite badly there, so I just cut it and joined it again, and a couple of hours later it cracked and started leaking again, so I said I better pull this out and change it. And when I pulled it out, the hose was so rotten it just pulled in half, so just put another bit of fuel line on it. Didn't take 10 minutes, and away she's going since. This morning we had a drop of rain at home, and didn't rain here at all, so we're back at Phelan Harbour. We've been here a couple of times now, and there's a big boat in at the minute. That'll be a big lever ship. They're collecting container crane parts, and it could be going anywhere in the world. So I guess one of the biggest differences in these is have a different roof. You have a totally different roof. It juts out a bit more around it, keeps the cab a bit cooler. Even though my air conditioning isn't working, it hasn't got that hot in this tractor the last few days. And you also have a forward opening or a rear opening sunroof. Your radio and all your controls are over here, opposed to when they were along here. And you have no dash, it's all along there. You just have a kind of a cubby hole inside here. So they're the main differences inside. Outside you have totally different electronic valves. Your electric spool valves, they're totally different to the last ones on the tier 2s and the tier 3s. Supposed to not give as much bother, still probably give a bit of bother, but supposedly not as troublesome as the SP23s or something they're called. After that then we're common rail fuel system on these, and you'd notice that there's more go on them, and they run at lower revs, doing 50 kilometers an hour as well. Other than that, there isn't any other changes. That's kind of more or less it. Still the same front axle, same transmission, and same engine bar the injection system. So yeah, that's pretty much her. Happy enough with her so far. Like I say, I don't think there's any outstanding. So once we get this job finished, we have another job not too far from this one. It's about 10-12 acres in it, and then we're back up near home and we have about 50 acres, and that will be that for today. Only a small bit tomorrow because there's a strong possibility of rain, so thankfully it'll be all done before the rain again, but we'll have to throw everything at the job later on today because they must all be shifted, and they must be all shifted a fair old journey at the same time, so everything will be out for that job. But we should get it done, no problems anyway, hopefully. So yeah, basically finish up here, one job on the way towards home, and back up near home then for the rest of the day. Okay, so we're plowing away through this job. We have a couple of tractors drawn here. We have two of our own, the TVT and the CVX are moving them because there's a bit of a trek involved, and the farmer has his own tractor, which is a Fendt 722 drawing here as well. 6290 is loading, and Volvo is unloading them, and they're not a whole pile behind me. We've 300 made so far, and they're probably about 60, 70, so I suppose about 70 bales behind me. I roughly have a load, well, or around ahead of them the whole time. They're carrying 17, 18 and 19 bales, and I'm roughly 60 ahead of them the whole time, so I prefer to be that bit ahead of them than waiting for me for bales, which does happen from time to time. But you know, if the three of them come in, which they are doing, the three of them are more or less coming together. Once he starts loading them, he doesn't be on making ground on me again. So I suppose after this I have one more job to do. Well, I might do it this evening, depends when we get out of here, because we probably have another 100, 150 to make, and I have another one, but I'll have to go and rake it myself because everyone's tied up with this. So if I can get that done this evening, all the better. We'll give a look at the weather and see if we think we'll get away with the morning. But I actually think a neighbour of mine has hay down as well, so maybe that'll be, maybe he might be on. If he's given it a term today, he'll let me know what it's like. So yeah, still plenty to do this evening, but hopefully we'll get there before it's too late, because we're all pretty tired now. We didn't have a desperate late finish yesterday. I think it was around 9 o'clock when we finished, so not too bad, but we kind of needed it, to be fair, because we were all fairly tired, and yeah, we've been escaped without an all-nighter this round anyway. So once the weather breaks, we have a good bit of reseeding to do. We have an awful lot of spraying to do. We have slurry to do, and there's actually silage jobs building up for when the weather clears again. So the cycle never ends. It's always ongoing and ongoing. So I need to get out and change my rack, and give you an update when we're getting there, when we're getting towards the end of it. Last plastic change of the day. Thankfully, this job was all 6 layers, so over 20 rolls of plastic used. There's a bit of changing in them, but it's all part of it. Sure, they are slow to change though. Rolls of plastic. It is a bit time consuming. Normally what I would do is I'd whip them out of the boxes, a good few of them. Normally roughly about what I think would be there, but seeing as I could only carry 12, which is 2 on the wrapper and 5 at each side, I had to go and get more of it afterwards, and we just threw them straight up. I wasn't whipping them all out of the boxes. I just said I'd use them as I'm going. So I left the last of them in the last farmyard, and last farmyard I'll say, but the last farm we were in for these people, a couple of farms rented, so they're also quite heavy as well, and you're changing a good few of them. Lads tell me that that net replacement stuff is very heavy. You know, that film instead of net, that's supposed to be an awful weight. I think that's why they came out with that kind of setup on the side of the baler to lift them up. But I definitely think the Kuhn system is a lot better than those rolls of NRF. But I'm sure there's pros and cons to both. It's funny, maybe Kuhn have a patent or something on their one, because you don't see any other brands using the Kuhn setup. So more than likely they have some sort of a patent on it, you'd imagine. I wonder, will there ever be a Fusion 4? Right. Are they as advanced now as they will ever get? It's hard to know. Maybe there'll be something radical will come out. I know there's these non-stop varieties are there and stuff, but I don't know whether McHale's have any interest in going down that road, or, you know, most mainstream manufacturers, whether they have any interest in that, or if that's the way forward. I don't know. Did anyone else do that? Am I the only one? I didn't catch this time. Usually tuck it in under the corner there, and it saves you tying and knotting it, because once the wrapper turns, the bale will hold a bit of wrap. I'll just show you there now. See, there's our little tail that we shoved in underneath there. Once the wrapper turns, it holds it. Once it gets one spin, you're away. But I always give it the spin before I sit in, because there's nothing more nice than sitting into the tractor and the wrap breaking. So I always give it a bit of a spin. But yeah, I don't know whether the balers can get any more advanced than they are. I suppose lads said that 30 years ago. I suppose lads thought that balers couldn't get any more advanced 30 years ago, and look at the change in them now. Lads with balers are picking up more than some lads are, you know, in a lot of cases, as much as with self-propelled harvesters now, which is something you would never ever think would happen. But like, I know there's contractors will say north of us would be doing up on 30,000 bales a year, which is, that's some amount of bale. Like, that has to be up on 4,500 acres a year, and that's some covering with balers. Fair enough, they probably have 2 or if not 3 at it, but it's a monumental achievement nonetheless. What's one man's max with one baler? I suppose you're talking somewhere around the 13 or 14,000. We done it once with an old baler, with a Fusion 1, and it was hard going. You were out all night. Anytime, you know, you were under pressure, you were just out without stopping. And while it wasn't done last year, crops are way back. It's possible it could be done again this year, but you just don't know. But it's a lot easier. Like what we've done now so far this year has been, it hasn't been a doddle, but it's been a hell of a lot easier than it used to be. I mean, facing into what we've covered so far this year would be awful hard with a Fusion 1, I'd imagine, or I don't want to insult anyone's machinery, but we'll say with an older machine it just would be difficult, because they are going to break down. There's no point saying any different. And unfortunately new stuff can break down as well, but you're savagely decreasing the likelihood of that happening if you keep the machinery some way fresh. I don't know where is the key point or the optimum time to change a baler. What do other people do that may be watching this channel? They run it on until you've been paid for and possibly deal with the hardship involved, or is there a certain number of bales where that's your cut-off point, your reliability starts slipping down a bit, you're as well to get rid of it? Like, I'm sure there's lads that are buying new balers that probably never even change chains on them. Once they're fit for chains, they just get traded in. Stuff like that, you know. I don't know. There has to be an optimum time to change everything, and I've never bought a second new baler, so I can't give my opinion on that, but I'm sure there's someone watching this will know. So if you have any idea on that, just hit it up in the comments. Just a bit of a conversation really, see what people's opinions on that one are. Of course, new machinery is skyrocketing, and another big thing, and I'm sure an awful lot of people it's affecting, unless you're in huge, really intensive dairy areas, is lads are getting old. An awful lot of lads we do work for are shoving on in the years, and they are going to call it a day someday. Nothing stays going forever, or people just get tired of the workload and eventually pack it in. So you know, who knows where contracting in this country will be in 10 years time. Whether the future for it will be good or bad, I don't know. I think there should be a sort of, shall we say, an incentive for share farming in this country, because it's not something that's looked into enough. You know, I will say someone in their 60s that still wants to tip away, but knows that in maybe 10 years time they will want to, say, live life a bit more leisurely. Surely there should be some incentive there, or just, you know, kind of change the mentality around the whole thing, that some guy in his 20s that's stone mad for farming but just can't get into it is able to maybe buy a bit of stock through this man or woman that's shoving on in the years, and gradually farm away together, and then at some stage kind of more or less takes over the farm, whether it be bought or walked off or whatever. But there's an awful attachment to land in this country, and unfortunately the grave reality is when you're dead and buried, someone is going to sell it anyway. So you know, like someone, just for instance, someone in their 60s, that all their family have moved away, that they've absolutely no interest in farming, wouldn't they be as well some sort of incentive to get a 20-year-old that's mad into farming, get him involved in the farm, work his way, at least to get him a start if he wants to go milking cows, and maybe in 10-15 years time he then has the opportunity to say, yeah, look, I'll buy the farm because I already have 150 cows here and I have all the facilities, so I may as well, you know, it'll just help him along to get going farming. So when I was in New Zealand, there was a lot of it going on, and I just thought it was a very good system. It really helped people that aren't from agricultural backgrounds to get into agriculture, and that's a huge problem that's going to be faced with this country in the next 10 years, because our farmers are a very aged population. They're most of them are shoving on in their years, so where the future is for that I'm not quite sure, but time will tell, I guess. Well, welcome back. I don't know what video this will be in, because there's just a good bit of footage there, and I'll throw something together, a few videos. I'll go at it tonight. Because the weekend looks wet. Today is Thursday, and I will probably go on the beer the weekend. So I won't be filming. That's some raw stuff. I'm only after landing into the field here now. Jesus, there's going to be a fair few bales here. This field was reseeded last year. We're in lovely Derrymore, on your way back to camp along the Wild Atlantic Way. Straight across there is Fenagh Harbour. You'll see us back there fairly often too, but there's no way to get straight back across there, unfortunately. You have to go into Tralee, come out the coast along there, and that brings you back to there. Some very good land along here back into camp, and some very, very, very good land back that way, but burns up quite easy, because they actually get, even though we're not far from them, probably 12-14 kilometers, they get very different weather there to what we get at home. I was chatting to a farmer there the other day, and I think he said they've gone 19 days without rain or something like that, and that's kind of, we'd be getting more than that at home. In fact, the morning that we gave a look over the 175, I was bailing back in Fenagh, back right next to the harbour, and it was raining at home that morning, but I knew I could head back there because I knew it wouldn't have rained, basically. So yeah, I have this job to do now this evening. Earlier on today we were tanking slurry and agitating slurry and all that kind of thing. I'm still doing a bit of that, but there's two of us cut loose, and we said we'd head back to do this job. We have 4 or 5 baling jobs to do tomorrow, and that's pretty much it wrapped up for the weekend, thankfully, because I'm looking forward to a bit of a break. But anyway, nonetheless, it needs to be done. So I don't know what I said, but this has all been swarted with the X8s, which done a beautiful job, and a beautiful cut off of them as well. Can't fault them Pottingers at all. I suppose if I was to fault one thing, would be the road transport height, but we'll see how we get on baling these now. We'll stick the camera up and let you see what you think. A lot of grass could be swarted, really. You know, lads are I think at times people get a bit too carried overboard with tedding and raking and messing with it. If the grass is dry, which this grass is bone dry, it's no harm throw it into a big row and just bale away straight after the mowers, basically. So yeah, I'll throw up my plastic and we'll get stuck into this one. Okay, so we're baling them. Like I say, fairly big rows, but she seems to be gobbling them up fairly well. We're putting on 6 layers of plastic, which, to be fair, seems to be more or less the norm now. Most people are doing it. There isn't that many left on 4 layers, but it's definitely a better job, better silage. It seems to ensoil it a bit better and easier handling as well. So you'd kind of wonder really what the advantage of film on film is, because if you put on your 6 layers, they say it's the same as film and 4 layers. Reading into it, that's what the experts are saying. When it costs ever so slightly less in your film and 4 layers to put on net and 6 layers, depending on the contractor. Some fellas are inclined to run around and put it on for free, but I don't think there's too many, I won't insult anyone, I don't think there's too many guys doing that. So the advantages of film on film, I don't know. Can't really see them, to be honest. I think it's a fad. Anyone honest I've asked that uses it says that in the first year, yeah, well and good, a lot of people are mad to try it, which, to be fair, you can't knock them for that. And the second year, you're down an awful lot of customers that want to use it, and after that it really is down into small numbers of guys that will use it. So I don't know, it gives a lot of trouble as well, I'm told. So for now I'll be sticking to net, but I'm sure at some stage I will eat my words. It has happened before. So as you can see, we're pretty much the full width of our pickup with the group row, and that makes lovely bales. They're perfectly square edge on them. They're well packed, and yeah, just basically the perfect row for the baler really. While you do have to slow down a bit, you're probably making as good a progress anyway. But yeah, I like the group row in fairness. Took a bit of getting used to the way to mow them and stuff for picking with the baler, but we seem to have the knack of it now. Seems to work fairly well the way we're doing it. So yeah, the group rows, I'm definitely a fan of them anyway. Okay, so I'm just doing a bit of a morning takeover. Something I do every morning. Grease and change rolls of wrap and put up rolls of knit and all that kind of thing before you head off. And I'd always carry a few rolls of knit with me as well, or sorry, a few rolls of wrap, which as you can see I have 2 up there now, and I have a bit left over from a job yesterday. So yeah, I always carry 2 with me just in case, because you know when you land on and there's no wrap there and stuff like that, I always bring 2. So what I do then is I just get them replaced, or a charge from if they can't replace them. That's just the easiest system I find, because you'd often go to places and they'd forget to get it or something like that. So it's just easier for me to bring 2 with me. Obviously I top up my oil every day. Some days, a lot of days, you need to bring some with you because it only does about 300 bales. And I put my grease tubes into the bin here, which I need to throw a few more into her there now again. So yeah, it's kind of a small basic check over and just grease all your grease points. Like everything, I split it in half. We'll say to here one day, and then the following day do the rest or something like that. That's the usual way I work with every machine anyway. So I'll throw up another roll of knit and we'll be ready to rock. Okay, so we're here baling up a few paddocks on a dairy farm. Something that happens most years, but wasn't a whole pile of it last year because I suppose the growth was so poor. But the growth took off so much here in the last month, I suppose. Not even the last 3 weeks. That there's a lot of surplus grass around that's been baled up, whether it's fields that are closed off or it's just like this, basically stuff that kind of could be grazed, but it has so much of this that they have to start doing something with it, and taking it out and baling it seems to be the preferred option. So some years an awful lot of it happens, but other years not so much. This is quite a big farm as well. They're probably shoving up in 400 cows, 500 cows maybe. So yeah, they as many bales as they'd make, they're always used, and their pit silage as well, they always use an awful lot of it. So they kind of need to gather up as much grass as they can get. We're very close to the main road. You're very close to the town here as well, but it's looking around you, you'd think you were in the middle of nowhere. Very rural here, but if you went out to the main road, you're practically inside in the town. So kind of a strange, surreal feeling, really. So after this, I have a small bit to do up near home. Baling job we done last week. Just finished off. There's probably 2 acres, 2 awkward slow acres, and the farmer said we can let them until we have a bit more time on our hands. So I was very grateful for that. It took the pressure off because the drawing of them is just a bit slow, and not every field is perfect, and it's just a bit slower to bale it than, shall we say, flat level field. So I'll tackle that once I'm finished here, and then we have maybe about 30 or 40 bales to make in a place that was swarted. And after that we are going to a dairy farm that mows their own and rakes their own, so I'm not quite sure how much will be there, but usually there's a fairly decent number of bales, probably be up in the 160, 70 maybe, depends on how much stuff they've cut. But usually anytime you go up to them, they have a nice bit of stuff cut there, so I'd be thinking somewhere in and around that number. And tomorrow we have a bit of baling. Funnily enough, tomorrow was supposed to be wet, but it doesn't look too bad now, so our neighbour is going cutting a bit of stuff, and that's kind of more or less all I have for tomorrow. We're going looking at a TVT or a T7540 with a loader on it tomorrow. Not belong to me or not for me, but a friend of mine has it, and we'll go and give a look at that, give a walk around it, and yeah, just basically give a quick look at it, see what we think of it. Because I've no experience with the newer shape TVTs or the T7s, so we'll give a look at that, and I think I must give them a hand servicing it and stuff like that, and just basically give a run through her and see what she's like. So yeah, I'll stay motoring. Pretty much everyone's putting on 6 layers of wrap. This is no exception. So it's becoming more normal every year. More and more going for it. So yeah, I'll stay pumping them out, and we'll chat to you soon. Funny how the roll of that, the price of that roll of plastic has changed twice since that roll was produced, pre-COVID times, and then at the start of COVID we had a big price drop on all that kind of stuff, and now it's gone up again. So that roll was sitting somewhere, and the price of it has changed twice, which is a bit ridiculous, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately. Someone is going to have to pay for everyone's €350 a week, and it is going to be all us working people that are going to have to bear the brunt of all of that. But anyway, that's something I'm not going to get into, but inflation will inflation will sort all those things out for us. So I'm on my last job of the day. This farmer has his own single roller rake, and he rode in himself, and to be fair, he's making lovely rows with it. Very nice pick, very nice square bales after it, so can't complain about that, definitely. Impressed with it now, to be fair. It's a long time since I picked after a single roller rake, but he's doing a very, very nice job, to be fair. So once I'm finished up here, I'll head home, I'll eat, and I'll go video editing.